What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Everybody, welcome to the Awakening World. We are getting very close to spring, and it's good to see all of you. And I want to welcome all the people watching on Facebook and YouTube. A big thank you to our broadcast partners, Conscious Awakening Network, Humanities Team, and a big thanks to Alan Steinfeld, and most of all to the Sign Network, SINE, because they're the ones that get us out to over 100 Facebook groups and pages. And of course, our beloveds that are right here in the Zoom room. And I am grateful that you're all here with us in person, because tonight is another edition of Authors and an Artist that we love. And it's going to be especially interesting for me, to be honest, because all of our guests are people I do not know. Usually I'm scheduling people that have been on the show before, or people that I know personally, or people that I've worked with. These are all brand new beings in my reality. So I look forward to meeting them. We are going to meet Matt Sturm. And Matt has a dynamic book out called Primal Drives, which I'm looking forward to learning all about. And then Reverend Jeffrey, reference two of his friends. This is Mary and Dave, and they've got a lot going on. They are very, very busy. And their website is divinelytouched.com, and they are clearly a divinely touched couple. And as I'm going to put on Reverend Jeffrey just because he's like so happy. He's applauding, and you got a fan there, you know. And as promised, we also have an artist. And this is going to be very, very interesting. This is Leigh Ann, and she has created something called MetaArt and ocular meditation. So we're going to discover these extraordinary people and some of their offerings, and we are going to get to all of them in a moment. But as always, we start our show with music, and I'm grateful for our beloved Omashar, who will be blessing us with 3 tunes tonight, including one right now.
In the beginning when we were one, life was fun. The human race had just begun. When you were children, you laughed and played in the sun. So tell me now, where have you gone? Come back and play with the divine. You're part of me, walking through time. I didn't leave you in the dark. You are the jewel in my heart. We could never be apart. I yearn for you endlessly, a field of dreams in between. You are the children of the sun, all of you. The world awaits your point of view. So come back and the divine. You're part of me, walking through time. I didn't leave you in the dark. You are the jewel in my heart. We could never be apart.
Let's all give a big twinkle to our beloved Omashar, who is our Oma Star. There we go. Welcome, everybody. It's good to see everyone. Eleanor Joy, and oh my God, Ian has changed. He's got it so fluffy. Oh, it's a dog. I got confused there for a moment. Good to see everybody. Hope you don't mind that, Ian. Hey, I'm in one of those moods. Thank you, Omashar. I received something really wonderful from a friend. You might remember Rihanna Skywalker. She has been on the show. She's kind of an expert at the Mayan calendar. And before we get to, because this really ties in to authors and artists that we love, and it's pretty interesting stuff. So it turns out that today is a very special day in the Mayan calendar. Today is the start of the final 13-day cycle that takes us to the close of the 260-day cycle. And both what's happening in the Mayan calendar and what's happening astrologically makes the next 13 days very, very powerful. And she sent me a few cards I'm going to show you while I also read what she read. So today we are entering Yellow Magnetic Star. And as we begin the final wave of this creation cycle, the last wave in the sacred calendar for humanity's awakening. We are awakening to being artists of our lives, creator beings. This is all part of the beautiful plan, here to express the beauty of our being into the beauty of creation. Yellow star is the archetype of art, beauty, and elegance. Elegance in relation to efficiency of design, perfection in action. It is the sacred geometry that exists from the micro to the macro, deeply encoded into our reality. It is the fingerprint of God. A signal kin archetype, yellow star lights the way, just as the stars have led the way throughout time. As we seek the stars, we are looking for the perfect pattern, the beauty way of being. Seeing the beauty is finding the truth, and the truth is always love. Today, as we go into yellow star, it's empowered also by what's happening with Saturn. Saturn is meeting with the sun, a purification by fire, combusting the end of a cycle before Saturn moves into Aries, beginning a new zodiac spin. This is a very potent time of endings and then beginnings. This is unlike any other time we will ever experience. It is truly an epoch-changing moment. We came for this, to witness the worst of times and bridge into the best of times. Saturn will meet Neptune in its transition into Aries, empowering a new dream. And as we are the dreamers of ourselves, the artists of our lives, we're also being called into this death and rebirth process to come back to the beautiful truth of who we are, and the art of being our unique shining light, and what that creates into the fabric of this time matrix. There's only one you, one shining star for all of you. I'll go back to the shining star image. And it calls us to express our soul light's perfection, to recalibrate the reflected order of reality in its highest alignment as we co-create heaven on earth. Now, Rianne, maybe once a month will send me something. So it was interesting that she sent that today, because tonight, of course, we have artists and authors that we love, but also today happened to be the once a month gathering of the Artists Catalyzing Evolution group that Omashar and I are part of, that Kristen Hoffman started. So I just thought it was amazing timing, and I would love if what I shared was of value to people. If you found it interesting, pop it in the chat box. I'm really curious to see, how this hits people. I'm not an expert in the Mayan calendar, but I really resonated with what she sent. And it being artists, we're going to start tonight with our artist. And I'm really grateful to be meeting Leanne for the first time. She reached out to me. And welcome to the Awakening World, Leanne.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Scott. It's great to be here amongst all this amazing energy that's flowing in through my computer screen.
Oh, good. I got to ask you first, just as the first person I'm talking to, how does that resonate for you, what I just shared?
Oh my gosh, it resonates so much. It resonates so much. Even the timing of it, with this, what's happening with the moon on Friday night and that 13-day window. I've got to look into that more. I don't know much about the Mayan calendar, but fascinating.
Yeah, apparently these are the last 13 days of the 260-day cycle. And the Mayan calendar works with a 260-day cycle in terms of that's the gestation period of a human. And so anyway, it's interesting stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, tell us, I'm going to give you the full picture. Tell us all about MetaArt.
Yes, MetaArt. I have one of my pieces here behind me. This is the frequency to heal. And basically, in a nutshell, what MetaArt is they're channeled abstract paintings that I completely, first, I communicate with the frequency It chooses me, I don't choose it. So when heal came in, I have a communication process I call meta insights, where I have a transmission, a communication with the frequency. And in that process, I learn whatever details. Like it, most of my paintings are on doors, physical doors, because they're doorways with thresholds into other dimensions. And but I'm told the size, and I'm given this very profound information of what that frequency actually is. Because whether it's love or joy or peace or unity, it's always a bigger, more profound information that comes through. And then once I have that, I'm totally aligned. I step out of the way, and I work with Christ consciousness. I'm also a death doula, and the energy just flows through my body. People, I'm sure, are familiar with automatic writing. These paintings I describe as automatic paintings. And so I'm just listening to what the next layer is. And so um, this kind of all happened organically. I didn't put this on a vision board, at some point that I wanted to be this artist. My career's been in marketing and advertising, and I I merged my death doula work with the realization that I can work with somebody from the side of spirit as they're crossing over the death process, but I can also tap into people that are alive and well. And so I started doing that with my marketing clients. And then that led me into doing these retreats with my clients, because a client said to me, "You go to my highest place." I call it a person's fully realized divine self, or their higher self, on their behalf when I'm doing this work, but I'd like you to take me there. So I started doing these retreats, and immediately Christ consciousness relayed to me, there needs to be something physical in our reality that exists in this liminal space of pure potential that you're able to bring people into. And it was to be these paintings. And so that's how the painting started. And what they do, it's a very simple process. I say they're actually a frequency of pure frequency masquerading as an abstract painting. So they're beautiful and colorful and all of that. But what you do is you just simply take one spot on the painting, relax your gaze in an open eye meditation, which is an ancient Sanskrit practice, right? To meditate with your eyes open. And the painting, the frequency of the painting actually goes in through your retina to your hypothalamus and engages directly with your pineal gland. So it's engaging with the seat of the soul and the divinity that's in you. So to journey, because these are portals into higher states of awareness, is really journeying into yourself, into your own divinity, where you can engage with that pure frequency. So that's it in a super quick nutshell, Scott.
Wow. Yeah, I'm curious about the relationship, more about the relationship between your death doula work and these paintings, because I'm guessing as a death doula, you have one foot in this world, but you're also helping to guide them into the next world. And is that practice or process what's kind of opened you up to receiving these visions from a higher plane, if you will?
Absolutely. I've been a death doula for decades. I've only been doing these paintings since 2017. And and that was that, I'm always living on my edge and asking what is next that I'm capable of doing. And and so through this process of I took 4 years, got rid of everything I owned, got on the road. And I roamed, the kind of zip zapped around the US, and all of this was dropping in, right? I'd stay with somebody and they'd say, take me, because when I do my work for an individual, I am engaging with their higher self, or what I call their fully realized divine self. And I use that phrase because I know where I'm going is that person's location on fully realized divine earth, where we're all fully realized, the rocks, the trees, the animals, everything. And it's a very real place that I go. And it's in that same, you know, space that I help cross people over. And it's so I feel like that was the door initially that opened for decades and really gave me the framework for the trust and surrender to to say yes to whatever came in. When I started hearing to do these paintings, you know, I it was one of those things where it's like I can't say no to this. I just have to listen and do it. The first painting that I did was peace, and then I was able, because I was actually doing these paintings for marketing clients, because I brought it into my marketing business initially, and they would actually have a retreat with me, and I would usher them into their fully realized divine state, and they could see their life and their business and their choices from that 50,000-foot view. And then I would be, you know, channeling this painting during the retreat, and then they would leave with it as a tool in order to get back into that state easily. And so there's lots of CEOs that have this, their canvases across, you know, their offices from them. And so that's where it started. And then COVID happened, and I heard just channel the frequency of peace. And then I had a chance to be with that painting and really begin to understand biologically how that frequency was engaging in the person's humanity and all of their energy bodies, and the profound experiences that people have with these paintings are remarkable, and are I'm constantly amazed at how they are here to serve. And they are multidimensional. So as the person's evolving, they're like, every time you sit with the painting, you have a different experience. Things like animals can come through, deceased loved ones. The painting can completely change colors or go completely white, or the colors can just you can't see the edge from the wall to the painting. The whole wall just becomes the painting. And that's when you know, okay, that frequency is engaging with my pineal gland. So they're very, very powerful. And once someone has one in their home, a reproduction or an original, I just spoke with somebody yesterday. He's had one for a number of years, and he said, I don't even have to sit with it anymore. I just can be walking through the room, and I feel my energy just level up to that state, and I start receiving information. So it's you build a relationship with it.
Wow. Wow. Um, Tell us one more thing. Um, how has this changed your consciousness?
Oh gosh.
I know it's a big question.
It's amazing. It's an amazing question because so this is Heal. You can see that it's 9 canvases. This one was created specifically for practitioners, very powerful. At the same time, I also channeled a door, and that took 4 months. And there's actually sacred sound to many of my paintings. And this piece has the Anya Sarah. She's does toning, and so every time I painted for 4 months, she was on Zoom toning. And then afterwards, we would talk about all the healing experiences that we had during that session or in between, just being in that frequency. So, the heal in particular, about 8 months ago, I needed a breast biopsy done, and I just started the meditations with the sound are only 11 minutes. So I started sitting with Heal for 11 minutes in the morning, 11 minutes at night. 6 weeks later, went off for the biopsy, and the doctor turned, you know, her screen to me, and she said, "I'm going to teach you what a perfectly healthy lymph node looks like." And I'm like, "Okay, that's nice." She said, "That's what I'm supposed to biopsy. This is a perfectly healthy tissue." And so that's an example. But as I'm channeling that, I'm completely one with that frequency. And so my entire view on reality is leveled up as well.
Wow, that's beautiful. All right, well, we're going to get much more of an opportunity to talk to you, but I do want to let people know where you can go to see some of her work. If you go to her name, Lee, L-E-E-N-A-N-N, Hetzel, H-E-T-Z-E-L.com, and then just click about MetaArt, and that'll take you here. And where it says shop MetaArt, this is where you can kind of shop and see what's available. And there's just some beautiful pieces. I, of course, love this piece because we are the Global Peace Tribe. So, of course, I'm attracted to the one on peace, of course. But there are really many beautiful pieces there. So, Leanne, we will be back with you in a little bit. But it's time to find out what Primal Drives is all about. So I'm going to bring up Matt Sturm. Hello, Matt.
There we go. Hi, Scott.
How you
Pleasure to
doing?
be on the show. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. I'm curious. Tell us all about a little bit about you, since it's your first time on the show, and then, of course, about Primal Drives.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm a guy who has gotten deep into men's work over the past 15 years or so. I'm trained as a somatic therapist and a psychedelic guide, and I'm deep in yoga. And so kind of like I've invested in this world. And eventually, I started writing books. And so this is my second book, Primal Drives. And this book is on the archetype of the warrior. So my perspective here that I'm coming on to share is that when we look out in the world, there are all these different ways that men are making a muck of things, causing harm, and challenging versions of masculinity, particularly right now when we look out. But my perspective is that there is actually a life-affirming core of masculinity that we are all able to tap into. So I hold that we live in a sacred world, a sacred cosmos, and that each one of us is essentially sacred. And so within that framework, there needs to be a way to understand masculinity as sacred also. And so that's really been my inquiry, is how can I and how can I inspire others to find a healthy, life-affirming version of masculinity? My first book was called The Organic Masculine, and that's my term for this life-affirming masculinity, is the organic masculine. So when the masculine is helping life to flourish, when we're uplifting each other, that is the organic masculine. Part of how I got into finding this life-affirming place within myself was through archetypes and the process of initiation. And so my first book is on the archetype of the magician. This book, Primal Drives, just came out in January, and it's on the archetype of the warrior. And as I was sitting down to write a book on masculinity and the warrior, I was really confronted with the question of how do I explain male violence, war, oppression, sexual violence, all of the things that men do. And how can I make room for that in a framework that says, men, we should be connecting with our warrior and that this is actually a good thing? And so that has turned into a pretty hefty book called Primal Drives. And the idea for me is that it's the task of the warrior to integrate our instincts for sex and aggression in an intentional, conscious, healthy way. And that this is our task. And that it's not about pushing away the warrior. You know, these archetypes are universal patterns of influence. So it's here, it's in each of us. How do we deal with it? And for me, it's about leaning in and becoming intimate with these primal drives and then learning how to channel them for good, for the betterment of ourselves and everybody who we interact with. So I'll pause there.
Well, that's powerful. I mean, we try not to take a political standpoint, but it's hard in this present last 6 weeks. And so we have a new president who has stated that empathy is a problem and that compassion is one of the problems with America. and that we, should not have empathy. There's a list of about 60 words that are to be expunged from use by those who want to receive funds from the current administration. And some of those words are words that most of the people in this room live by. So how would you then address exactly that? Like, how do we claim our masculinity, our divine masculine, while maintaining empathy and compassion?
Mhm. How do we claim or maintain our masculinity while maintaining empathy and compassion? I actually think that the highest expressions of masculinity or any gender are through empathy and compassion. So I love this question.
You're not going to get any grants from the Trump administration for this, though.
No, absolutely not. But empathy and compassion extends even to those like the Trump administration who we would villainize or say these guys are the problem, right? It's the task for us in this global peace tribe village is to understand that we are all one species living on one planet, and that the violence and the oppression and the pain is coming from a place of hurt, of distortion, of ignorance, of woundedness. And so I think for the people who are on this show, the task is to extend our compassion to the world leaders as well as to the people who voted for those world leaders, because that's really how we can unite and come together. And it's through that sense of compassion that we start to see beyond the action. And we don't have to abide by the action, but we can then connect with the human who is confused or distorted or wounded beneath those actions. And so it's really the task of this time to stand up for truth, to stand up for peace. And like Gandhi, it's to be willing to expose ourselves to the injustice for the sake of what is true and what is right. And by exposing ourselves to those injustices, we not only open our hearts, but we open the hearts of everybody who witnesses that. And that is the path of peace that I'm here to advocate for.
Beautiful. Susan Blumquist just wrote, beautiful sentiments and warrior strength. Eleanor Joy writes, I keep reminding myself that when the light is turned on, then the darkness dissipates. Focus on the higher frequencies and vibrations. Are you Matt? No, there's Matt's iPhone. Even though I am and identify as a man and male, and that as I was growing up and even through my adult life so far, a lot has been put upon me to be a man or to become a man. I don't focus on that. I'm still just trying on figuring out how to be a human being.
Beautiful. Can I respond to that one?
Yeah, somebody named Matt. It's Matt's
Right.
iPhone.
Hey, Matt.
So maybe it's your doppelganger through an iPhone. Tiara writes, strong men have compassion and empathy. Ayada writes, Elon Musk recently said that about empathy. Oh, but she's not sure if Trump had said that as well. Yeah, it was Elon who talked about it. And of course, Reverend Jeffrey writes, the Lovolution path is the high road. All right, so what are steps that men watching this can take? And what are steps that the women watching can take to support their men?
Absolutely. So we all participate in masculinity, whether we identify as men or whatever gender we identify with. So this is really like a group collective effort. What are the steps? So for starters, I would say decondition and look at what are the scripts and roles and qualities that have been handed to you by our distorted, immature culture around what masculinity means. You know, for example, it's a man's job to fight, to rule, and provide. You know, maybe those are the scripts that you've been handed. It sounds like the other Matt was given a pretty strong script that he didn't feel authentic for him. And so the first is just doing the work of seeing where have I taken on this programming, this social conditioning? And in recognizing that it's just social conditioning, it means that I can decondition it. I can change it. And then as I go through that process, I can begin to find my authentic version. And I call this redefinition, finding redefinition in masculinity. What is true to me? What are the qualities and ways that I show up that feel masculine, that feel aligned and good, that I can fully get behind as a human? And I think the other piece, particularly with regards to the warrior archetype, is to not turn away from these primal drives. So I will make the distinction between conflict avoidance and pacifism on one hand, and being a strong advocate for peace on the other hand. And in order to be a strong advocate for peace, it has to come from being willing to go into my own capacity for violence, my own capacity for sexual aggression, and then to become intimate with those drives, integrate them, and then it's a trustable place that I can show up from in my masculinity, in my potency, in my strength.
Oh, beautiful. We're going to go to Omashar for a song in a moment and then to Mary and Dr. Dave. But just a reminder again, the book is called Primal Drives, and you can learn all about it by going to primaldrivesbook.com. That's easy to remember. primaldrivebooks.com by Matt Sturm, a total game changer integrating sex and aggression to embody life-affirming warriorship. And you can get this direct, and we can get it from our friends at Amazon. So thank you, Matt. And we'll be back with Matt and everybody else, but we're at about our halfway point, and it's time for an Omashar song.
What more can I be than what I am? Though it's taken some time to clear these clouds from my eyes. So open your hearts and dance along. I'm thinking it's time to stop that same old song. So hear me now. I am in love with the world around me, and I will hold her in my arms and lift her with my dreaming. Ba-da-da-da. I lift her with my dreaming. Ba-da-da-da. I lift her with my dreaming. So don't try to hold me to what I was. I've traveled through time to see this day arise. The love that I am is here for you. So open the door and let the sun shine in. I've come alive, so hear me now. I am in love with the world around me, and I will hold her in my arms and lift her with my dreaming. Ba-da-da-da. And lift her with my dreaming. Ba-da-da-da. And lift her with my dreaming. Ba-da-da-da. Ba-da-da-da. Ba-da-da. Ba-da-da-da. So open your heart and dance along. I'm thinking it's time to stop that same old song. I've come alive, so hear me now. I am in love with the world around me, and I will hold her in my arms and lift her with my dreaming. Ba-da-da-da. I left her with my dreaming. Ba-da-da-da. I left her with my dreaming. Da-da-da-da. What more can I be than what I am?
Yay.
Wow. Let's all twinkle, beloved Omashar.
Yay.
Thank you, and Matt, you rock, brother. And so of course as Leanne, I really equate with that. But I've been a part of the men's movement when I was in Hawaii, going to men's boot camp. I forget the title of the group I was with.
Omashar, I met you on Kauai. I
That
remember.
was where it was, dude.
Yeah.
Hey, brother. I thought I recognized that man. I resemble him. Was it at that initiation thing?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What was the group called?
Mankind Project.
Thank you, Mankind Project. I knew that. Thanks for remembering.
Good to see you, brother.
Far out. Feel so.
Beautiful. It's amazing, all the connections. That's the amazing time we're living in, synchronicity.
Mm.
We have another wonderful couple to meet. And to introduce them, Reverend Jeffrey is who referred them. So I'm going to bring up Reverend Jeffrey to introduce his friends, Mary and Dr. Dave.
Yeah. Well, that's an honor. Thank you, Scott, for letting me do this. Yes, it's first of all, they're Divinely Touched is a great title. And you know, when I first met Mary, I had felt her energy, her healing, her love, and she did a healing, and it was one of the more powerful vibrations I've ever felt. So, and then we became dear friends and get to know more about their interesting story, which I'll share. And I hope Mary opens up. She's got this amazing path to bring her to where she can now has the ability through the love that flows through her to do amazing healings on folks and has helped so many people. And it is like most of us, the path to get there was not always the easiest thing along the way. So we're excited to hear their story, and I'm so glad I brought him here to share it with the tribe.
Dave.
So thank you very much, Scott, for having them.
Dave.
My pleasure. Well, welcome.
Oh, by
welcome.
the way, the only other thing to say before I leave is that Dave is one of the smartest guys I know. He's got. So there you go. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Jeffrey.
Well, greetings and welcome. It's wonderful to have you on the show. And
Thank you for having us. We feel so blessed.
yeah, well, it's beautiful to have
here.
you. Since you're a couple and I'm a love coach, tell us about yourselves as a couple. How did you meet? And what do you love about each other? That's what I always ask. Mary, what do you love and admire about Dave? Dave, what do you love and admire about Mary?
Oh my God. He's
Well,
the most sweetest, just like he's the most sweetest, kindest, loving, understanding human you'd ever meet. It's like he's a saint. Really.
Wow.
Yes. Yes. I feel I'm with the saint.
Yes, our book goes, actually Divinely Touched, our book, it kind of goes into a lot of what Mary went through. And actually it talks about how we met and got together. And we've had several psychics and shamans say that we've been together for several lifetimes, and we are divine soulmates. So yeah, we have a long history of being together, not only in this life, but in previous lives. and it's kind of a divine meeting that we got together and pursuing our journey here. But I also, again, like to thank you, Scott, for having us on the show. Thank you, Jeffrey.
Yes.
Jeffrey is my top science and technical advisor. Appreciate everything he's always sending me, and he again referred us to your show. And I'd just like to say, Matt, you are a divine, mature, old soul. Love everything you're doing. And Leanne, we love your artwork. We'll be putting an order in
Yes,
with you as well.
definitely.
Amazing. Amazing. And Scott, again, everything you do with the Awakening World and Global Peace Tribe, we absolutely love. So thank you again for everything you do.
Yes.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And tell us all about Divinely Touched. Like, obviously, you've been divinely touched with each other. But what
Yes.
does that mean?
Not the easy way, though. It's just not the easy way.
And you do a lot of it. By the way, I should say, Dave is a psychologist. He practices hypnotherapy and is the author of Holistic Mental Health Revisited. And Mary has been divinely led to reconnective healing. Now, what is reconnective healing?
Reconnective healing is, I studied through my journey. I was led to a lot of modalities, but I was blessed enough to study with Dr. Eric Pearl. I studied with him in Arizona. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's part of the Hay House team, you know, with Dr. Wayne Dyer and Louise Hay. Of course, they've all transitioned now, but back then I studied with him, and he was a very successful LA chiropractor. And his patients were getting miraculously healed, and he wasn't even touching them. Of course, he was a doctor, he was a scientist, didn't believe in all of this stuff, right? Thought it was all woo-woo, but he couldn't deny the fact that his patients were getting miraculously healed. And so he led him on his journey. And of course, now all he does is teach this all over the world. And what it's doing is, it's really sacred geometry above your body that's been cut off from the lower vibrations and toxicity on this planet. And what I go and do is reconnect you to your higher frequency where those lower frequencies leave, and healing comes back in your place.
Yeah, it's similar to Reiki, but using a higher vibration, and it's a hands-off energy healing.
And it's more instant and lasting. Like, I don't have recurring clients because what's done is done in 1 to 3 sessions, and then your life takes off. It's usually only need 1 session. It has cured things that most people think can't be cured, and doctors think can't be cured. It's cured AIDS, it's cured cerebral palsy, it has cured chronic pain, it's cured fibromyalgia. It, you know, because it's bringing your higher self into this physical plane where there is no, you know, disease.
Wow. Wow. All right. Well, one of the things that you said in what you wrote is that you help people with death and dying. And you mentioned that you share with people the meaning of life. So from your perspective, what is the meaning of life, and what takes place when we leave our bodies?
Well, I mean, that's part of the whole story, what Mary went through. My background, as you mentioned, is I'm a psychologist, but prior to that, I was a science teacher, teaching biochemistry and biology at the secondary level. I went on and got a degree in counseling, and then another degree in school psychology, and became a school psychologist. So that science background certainly helped when I met Mary. And her whole journey really started when she was having, well, perhaps Mary can go a little bit, started prior to even meeting me. She was having a spiritual battle with her boyfriend or ex-boyfriend.
At the time.
If you want to talk a little bit about that, Mary.
Okay. Okay, you want me to get okay. Before my spiritual awakening, you know, I had no clue about this other world. I was in corporate finance for 20 years. I had a normal life. Well, who's to say what normal is, but what most perceive as normal. You know, I was married, I cooked, cleaned, came home, took care of the house. That's life as most of us knew it. Well, it was back then, you know, going back 30 years ago. But what I've learned through much pain is that there's a whole other world going on that most people can't see or perceive of, that exists within this world that we think is so real. We think this world's so real, but this isn't the real world. And I was opened up to this through much, much pain. And that put me on a healing journey because I started to get very, very sick. After several relationships that were very control, like Matt said, meant very controlling, very abusive, I started to get very, very sick. And so I started going to doctors. I mean, my stomach was out to here. I had bloating, chronic pain, sores all over my body. I'd wake up with black and blues, cuts all over me. My tongue had cankers all over my tongue. My lips were turning black. And doctors could see how sick I was. And they put me through every test they could think of. You know, I went to infectious disease doctors, cancer, you name it. I went to that specialist, that doctor, and they all called me a mystery. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with me because all my tests would come out, there's nothing wrong with me, but they could see physically how sick I was. So all this led me on a healing journey to just try to figure out what is going on with me because the doctors don't know. So when I went on this journey, when they couldn't give me the answers, I sought out shamans, energy healers, and psychics that could tell me what was happening to me. Thank God, because otherwise I don't think I would have made it. And so this opened me up to this whole other world, and all of them, and they were from all over the country. None of them knew each other. Some of them never even met me. I would just pick up the phone and say hello, and instantly they would tell me what was going on with me. I mean, how would they know? And all of them said the same thing, that I was being attacked by the spirit dimension, that I had negative entities attached to me, causing all my physical ailments that the doctors could find no cure for. And so what all the doctors' experiences and all their tests and all their drugs and that made me unable to think clearly. And what caused them, when I started seeing spirits and hearing voices, they thought I was psychotic and they put me in the psych ward. And they knocked me out for 3 days, where I lost 3 whole days just so that I wouldn't see spirits or hear voices. But after one energy healing with one shaman, instantly my symptoms calmed down. My skin coming back, my stomach went down in half. My tongue the canker started to go after one energy healing, which was, and Dave was with me at the time, science proof we're all energy, we're all a frequency and a vibration. And when you match that frequency and vibration and clear these lower energies from this life, from negative, negative thinking, negative traumas in your life, from this life and past lives, then your field, your energy comes back. You clear it to a higher frequency. So this led me on the journey of seeking out, what's in this. So I sought out, Reiki, reflexology, but then the life transforming that saved and changed my life was being led to the reconnective energy healing, because it's instant and lasting. It's associated with the ascended master's energy. And that's why it's instant and lasting. And then Dave, through science, explains through quantum physics how and why these energy healings affect us so.
Again, using my science background and research background, I started looking into things like energy healing and how that actually works. And again, one of the things when we do seminars about Mary's story in our book, I start out talking about, what is proof? How do you prove things? And we find that usually proof relies upon things like research and data, historical perspectives, and personal experience. And again, our book goes into all of those avenues of proof. And one of the things that, I kind of connect is science and the metaphysics behind the energy healing and talking about how that actually works. And then we get into, was Mary being attacked by the spirit dimension? Which, again, she had battles with what we call as entity possession.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly, we've seen plenty of movies on entities possessing people and stuff, and Hollywood kind of loves that genre. But when it happens to someone that and they're going through these attacks, is that real or is it just fiction? So again, I looked at historical perspectives on that and how that actually connects. And one of the things that Mary talked about is that, all these different psychics and shamans from around the country were telling her the same thing without any prompting from her about why she was being so sick. She was being attacked by negative energy. And when that was cleared, she was feeling better. So again, we talk a lot about that. We talk about the history of entity possession, how that actually worked. And then to answer your question, Scott, I didn't forget about your question, is what happens, what's the purpose of life? What happens when we die? That led us to answers for that in terms of exactly what happens when we die. There's one aspect of proving that the spirit dimension is real is proving that consciousness can exist outside the body, right? And if we think about that for a second, how can you prove that consciousness exists outside the body? And if you can prove that, well, what does that prove? That proves things like reincarnation. Our soul travels from lifetime to lifetime. That's consciousness outside the body. Near-death experiences are a great example of proving that our consciousness can live outside the body. And we go into thousands of testimonies of near-death experiences. Another example of energy outside the body is what Mary was talking about, energy healing. So we talk about all these different avenues, proving again that psychic energy, our consciousness, our soul energy can exist outside the body. And we are eternal beings. I'm sure all of you know that, that are watching this. And Scott, you certainly promote these concepts all the time, I'm sure. But again, we go into great detail in our book, Divinely Touched, not only of Mary's story, but all those avenues of proof that I just mentioned.
In a moment, we're going to bring up Reverend Jerry. He wants to speak to this experience a little bit. But I have a question, and then I'll bring up Charity. So, from your understanding, when there is a psychic attack on someone like Mary, sweet, innocent person, hasn't done anything, to warrant this, why is that? What is the attacking force, and what motivates that energy to attack someone like Mary?
Well, again, remember at the time I had been abused. I was very negative thinking. I was very low self-esteem. So back then I didn't know about, it wasn't even around, the law of attraction. Now everyone's more familiar with it. Well, everything now we know is a vibration and a frequency. So back then I was vibrating very low. Like I didn't know that thoughts are things, and what you think you create, and you're always down in yourself. And we're an energy field, and we have an aura around us protecting us, just like the earth has an aura, ozone layer protecting. But now everyone's getting concerned because it's getting tears in it, and this is causing all this, all these environmental things. Well, just like our own field, well, when you're constantly beating yourself up or being beat up and negative, and you're vibrating very low, well, this puts tears in your aura, in your energy field, which allows lower vibrations. If you're vibrating low, well, you're one with everything in the universe. So when you're vibrating low, these lower energies are going to come in and match you and amplify your low vibration and frequency and make your symptoms even worse and attach to you. Because a lot of people, it's not you die and then you go to heaven or hell. It doesn't work like that. A lot of these people are in the astral plane. These souls don't cross over. And so there's a lot of them even still think they're alive. So they feed off of your energy that keeps them feeling alive. Great vibration.
Right. And if someone died from like a drug overdose, they're attracted to other people that are alcoholics or on drugs, feeding off that negative energy. So we found that there's, again, doing research on entity possession, there are various levels of disembodied spirits, so to speak. One level is what Mary's talking about, earthbound spirits that are trapped. Other levels that are higher levels that were attracted to Mary because of her high energy vibration and her role in her life experiences and where she's going in this life. They knew where she was going as a healer. They wanted to stop her journey and stop her role. Those are higher level energy, dark spirits,
Right.
so to speak.
Because at the time, I didn't know eventually I was going to meet him. We're going to write a book, we do seminars. I was going to awaken that I'm a healer. I didn't even know about healers but they knew it. And right now, you know, the earth wants to ascend, and we're in a battle. There's a battle for this ascension, and they attach to a lot of people that we don't know our destiny, but they do, and they want to stop a lot of light workers from this ascension, because then they can't survive. They cannot stay on this earth plane causing all this havoc anymore. When you get healed from it, because when they have a host, well, they like it. They don't want to have to leave and find another host because they're living through it, through you.
So to answer your question, Scott, there's two levels. You know, sometimes they're attracted to low energy, people that are alcoholics or depressed or on drugs. Okay, the second level, attacking light workers like Mary, are trying to prevent her from her life work and life's journey. Those are higher level things, and that's why Mary was being attacked. And again, this wasn't one person telling us. This was countless psychics and shamans.
And I
telling us.
didn't say anything. All
Yes.
I did was say hello, and instantly they would start telling me everything going on in my life. How would they know this? It was like I was so through the grace of, and that's why passion, especially mine, is to change people's mind about mental illness. Because I was in the hospital twice. And a lot of these people are gifted people. They are hearing voices. They are seeing spirit. They just don't know how to ground themselves and hold that energy.
Hold on, somebody needs to mute.
I've got it, brother.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Mary
I'm
was
sorry.
saying there's a fine line between psychic and psychotic.
It's just these people don't know how to ground themselves. And by the grace of God, I was saved. He led me to the right people in the right books to understand this. But if it wasn't for that, I'd be like a lot of them, because a lot of doctors don't understand this, and they're in and out of the hospitals the rest of their life, heavily medicated, or a lot of them commit suicide because you can't hide from your truth. It's not going to hide. You are an energy field. You are a soul. And if your truth is you're gifted and you can hear and see spirit, but you don't know how to ground it and no one around you is helping you, that's not going to go away. It's like that's who your truth is. It's coming to wake you up. And so our passion is to get this out and the ways to heal from it and get to your higher plane, because you are a gifted individual and they're trying to numb you with drugs and fit into their world like they were trying to do to me. And
I just want to show people your website, and I'm going to bring up our other guests and start seeing questions from our audience. Whoops, that's not your website. There it is. Let's try that again. And again, if you're looking at it from Facebook or YouTube, go to divinelytouched.com, divinelytouched.com, where you can learn all about Dr. Dave and Mary. You can get their all the different books, and you can also get sessions with them. And clearly, you're doing very, very important work in the world. I'm going to bring Matt back up. I'm going to bring Leanne back up, and I want to open it up to our audience for thoughts, questions, comments. Jerry, did you still want to come up and share something?
Yes, I'd like to share a little bit on the subject that we're speaking about now, because I have been involved in many what we would typically call exorcisms. I would say that the largest percentage of them is, if you're a very good salesman, you can sell this attached spirit on the idea of going through the light and getting their own body, rather than have to experience cigarettes or alcohol through this person they're attached to. They can get their own body, but sometimes it goes the other way. And one time in Arizona, the lady, I had a smudge stick in my hand. This lady weighed less than 100 pounds, overpowered me, took the smudge stick and burned it into my own skin. And so I'm always kind of like a researcher. So I asked this spirit, what was its contract with this lady? Get ready, folks. He said it in one sentence. He said, my job is to create an oil slick around this person so she never has to deal with an intimate experience. Yeah. But my other experience that I had about this male-female thing is about, I've been on a Zoom on Tuesday nights for about 8 or 10 months. And I was kind of excited because about a month ago, they were going to do a class on the male-female integration. And this lady had written a book about it. And on the first, she was going to be on 2 calls. The first one, she made this at the end of it, an intention for all of us to follow. And this intention was very off base for any male to be involved with this female intention. And so I says to the lady, this does not feel like it includes me, okay? Very exclusive. And a couple of other people, the other men spoke up and said the same thing. Well, she came back the next week with the same intention, not including the male energy, just focused on the female energy. And I waited my time. I spoke up and I says, this doesn't work. Do you know what this group did? Because again, I had 2 more men stand up and say, wait a second, this isn't balanced. The leader of the group barred us men, all of us men, from the group entirely. That was her idea of integrating male and female, about as hypocritical as it could possibly be. So I'm saying that so many of the women who are in this audience right now are still confused what a healthy female is even. We always blame it on this toxic male and stuff. Well, let me tell you what, there's just as much toxic on the female side of spirituality as, and if women get honest and clear with themselves, they will see where it's at. So that's been, I've been involved for all these last 5 weeks in emails back and forth with the author and the leader of the group. And instead of the leader of the group learning a little bit, she says, I feel like I've been swept under the bus. I mean, not learning a single thing, not asking a decent question. And that was her idea of integrating male and female. So thanks for letting me share a little bit.
Okay, well, I'm hearing a lot of pain,
Yes.
actually, as you're expressing yourself, Jerry. I'm
Yes.
hearing frustration, I'm hearing pain, and I'm hearing a strong value for mutuality. As a relationship coach, almost every couple that comes to me that's struggling, one or both people, their need for feeling that fair or mutual care isn't happening. They feel they're giving more than they're receiving. And, we as human beings, we do live in our own little silo, and we're all spiritual beings, but we're having a human experience, and we all are, whatever stage of the process we are. And I think, Sherry, what I'm noticing is that in your frustration and your hurt, it probably scares people because you are a dynamic person. My God, you're the monk of the mystic monastery, for heaven's sakes. Who wants to mess with you? And so, it might be scary for people when what I hear as passion, they probably hear as anger. And when we hear anger, we get scared, especially when it's coming from a powerful person. So I just wanted to put that out there. There was something I wanted to say also, back to talking about this whole issue of dark energies that psychically attack, and Mary's absolute vulnerability in sharing that when she was under attack was when she was not very well resourced. She didn't have good self-esteem, and she didn't understand about protecting herself. A very interesting study was done by a friend of mine named Dr. Margot Chandley. She did her PhD dissertation on the relationship between people that believed that they had been sexually abused by aliens. And she had 12 cases of people who truly believed that they had been abducted and had unpleasant things happen to them, usually of a sexual nature. What was interesting was that 10 of those 12 people absolutely had a known experience of being abused as a child, physically abused as a child. Now, here's where it gets interesting. A pop psychologist would say, well, okay, it's transference. You know, they're transferring what their Uncle Fred did to them as a child onto the alien. But Margot's perspective was that's one way of looking at it. But another way of looking at it, and what Mary shared made me think of this, is for those particular species of extraterrestrials that view us as science projects, that have as much compassion for us as some of our doctors have for laboratory animals, when they're looking at who to go after, they see Matt Sturm, no, he's really well boundaried. They see Jerry Anderson, oh, he's really well boundaried. They see Leanne, she's really well boundaried. But then maybe they see little Pollyanna, who was sexually abused as a child and has a victim consciousness, has a belief already that I'm helpless to energies that are greater than myself. That same alien goes after Matt or Jerry or Leanne, they're going to say, go away, welcome. But someone who doesn't have that belief system, doesn't have that energetic boundary, is more prone to be victimized. Now, I certainly don't know what the truth is, but in honor of Dr. Chandler, she's no longer in her body. It's a fascinating question for us to ask. So I thought I would mention that. We have not heard from Leanne or Matt for a little bit. And so I want to open it up to you all and see if there are any questions that anybody has specifically for Matt or Leanne. And if so, raise your hand. You've got a little computer thing and raise your hand like I just did. Then you go right to the front and I can see you and I can call upon you. And if nobody has a question, I'm going to bring all of our guests up. What in the conversation would you like to express or speak to, Matt? We'll go to you first.
Okay. I'm happy to jump in. Well, first off, I love this group of people that are here, and particularly the other folks who came on to present. Wow. And thank you for your work. It's just a pleasure. What I want to add to the conversation is, as I was listening to some of the shares, I was just feeling how each one of us is on our own journey through healing and through understanding how to relate. And it just brings me to a sense of humility that I really don't know what it's like for other folks as they're going through whatever they're going through. And also, my intention is, like, Scott, I appreciate the way that you were just receiving the share and speaking to it, is to like support everyone to heal and grow in the way that they know is best. And to trust folks, of all genders, we're all learning this and figuring this out together. And when we uplift each other, then we create more unity together.
Oh, thank you, Matt. Thank you very much. Leanne, what would you like to share?
Yeah, I was thinking along the same lines what Matt was saying, how fascinating this group of people are, and as people are sharing, and it's we're all coming in and doing the same work in a sense, in that which is within our elevated capacities, right? What our soul imprint is. And I'm just visualizing this really beautiful space that's beyond this time and space, and we're all playing in the same field, and we're all bringing our own, toys to that playground to play in. And I don't know, I just see all the energies of what everybody is doing here, bringing in new earth, bringing in a higher sense of consciousness. And honestly, like 20, 30 years ago, I just think we're playing on a much higher playing field right now, and that we can be open to so many different higher frequency concepts. So this is an exciting forum to be in, and to know that we're here together doing this big work.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm going to read a couple comments from our audience, and then we'll have one last round with our presenters. I really like what Shoshana just pointed out. She pointed out that Jerry may also be feeling into when we feel cut off or cut out by someone, and the motivation doesn't feel just or fair. It can trigger us and trigger even our layers of past trauma. So yeah, that's where radical self-love for all of us. Radical self-love for all of us. Thank you for that, Shoshana. Susan Blomquist writes, my training instructed me to not pay attention to energies which are negative, or your attention is power. You know that phrase, energy flows where attention goes. So definitely that's, we learned that. And many of you, of course, remember our friends, the Twin Ray, and people periodically ask how they're doing, and they're doing well. I talk to Shakina Manj, Sanandaji, about every other week. We have a phone call and chat. And about a year ago, they were pretty viciously attacked in a journalism piece. I didn't want to call it journalism, in a hit piece by a woman who, it turns out, is funded by a right-wing Christian nationalist group. The same woman, by the way, last week launched a very similar attack on Satguru. If any of you know who Satguru is, she launched an attack on him. She's previously attacked Byron Katie, Moochie. She basically calls herself the guru hunter, goes after spiritual teachers. The reason I'm bringing it up is it was a heavy attack, and it was a written piece that was primarily filled with things that were not true, or took little things and blew them out of proportion. And so I was with the Twin Ray as they met with attorneys to see what their best course of action was. And they met with two attorneys and one expert on people that have been attacked in social media, that have been cyberbullied. And the advice was the same from everybody. As painful as it is, don't respond, don't react, ignore it. Don't give it, don't feed it. And that was hard. It was a hard lesson for all of us. And so, again, just kind of that comes into my mind reading what Susan wrote and reading what we're talking about. It's like, and certainly what's going on with the current administration, kind of like be an awareness of a little bit, but don't dive in and make it your life. So it's a hard time right now. It's hard finding that balance. Our show on Saturday night is honoring spiritual activists. And one of the words that's being banned is activism. Thou shalt not be activists. Wow, right? So it's a pretty interesting time. I want to make a few announcements, and then we'll go to our presenters one more time. But I do have some fun stuff to announce. I've got some hard stuff and some fun stuff. Let's start with fun stuff. What the world needs now is love and music and laughter. And so two of our favorite global peace drivers, Swami Beyondananda, also known as Steve Bierman, and Kristen Hoffman and I have decided that this is what the world needs. So we are going to do a special event for our Global Peace Tribe on Sunday, April 13th at 5 o'clock. It's going to be a combination of love and music and laughter. And obviously Swami is very wise and very witty and very funny. And Kristen is our favorite voice. She's got the voice of an angel. And I have a few thoughts about love. And so it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful evening. And want to invite everybody to join us. Please put it in your calendar. It's a special event, Sunday, April 13th at 5 p.m. Pacific time. And I'll put into the chat box where you can reserve your ticket. or you can go to globalpeacetribe.com, globalpeacetribe.com, and register. And so that's a fun thing that I wanted to share with people. I also wanted to let people know that, and most of you were with us on Saturday night, Deborah Giusti has come out and let people know about her cancer, her breast cancer. I started a GoFundMe for her last week, and I want to invite everybody to support her cancer journey. And I want to thank many of you have already donated. So thank you to those of you who have donated. I'll leave this up for a little bit while I talk. If you take your trusty phone, put it on camera, and scan, that will take you to her GoFundMe. And that's a good way to do it. Or you can just go to gofundme.com and type in the search bar when it says searching for a person, just write in Deborah Giusti and you'll be able to find her. But Deborah has done so much. She, of course, ran the Harmony Festival for 35 years, which was the festival. I mean, we all look forward to once a year going to the Harmony Festival. And it existed solely because of Deborah. And I've known her for decades. She's, of course, a community builder who is the mother of the Global Peace Tribe. She and I started the Global Peace Tribe 5 years ago. And by the way, we're going to have our 5-year anniversary show on Saturday night, April 5th. We'll be celebrating 5 years of Global Peace Tribe shows. So that's going to be a special show. And please make sure that invite your friends. That's a good one to invite people to. We're going to have some special things going on. So please do support Deborah. It's really, really important. And then Christy Michaels asked me to let people know about this, that the Founding Mothers Movement has tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific time, a very special guest speaker, Cynthia Lucas, the producer and director of the Gandhi Accidental Activist film and the Compassionate Activist film. And so that's something that all of you can go to. And of course, we love to share all the different things that our friends and our guests present. A lot of us were on Eden Amadora's program today, and Pat, our beloved Pat, got a wonderful reading from Eden. How was that for you, Pat? If you don't mind me bringing you up for a second. It was lovely to see you on Eden's show. And how was that?
Wonderful. It was wonderful. And the reading she gave me, I felt all this energy go through my body as a confirmation. I stay heart-centered, said love to any of this strange energy I feel that I'm guided to. And do a ringing bowl every day, sending love and peace to the world. And yeah, I do that.
Yeah, beautiful. Well,
It was very wonderful to be with her. Yes.
Yeah, it was really, really fun seeing you there. And, you know,
Great to see you too.
Well, thanks for letting me spontaneously bring you up. And the point being is I like to let our Global Peace Tribe know about the events that are going on with all the people that you meet on the show. And and when we do those events, fun and wonderful things happen. Last announcement I'm going to make, and then we're going to get to some of your comments and final questions. Just letting people know that this Saturday night, we are going to be focusing on spiritual activism if the Trump administration doesn't shut us down. And we were going to be honoring, hallelujah, Anasuya. We're going to be honoring her. And it's going to be a very special evening. Of course, Omashar will be with us. Pepper Dellums, Christy Michaels, Reverend Ivy, Kaylee Osborne, Michelle Newman, and several others are going to be joining us. So that's going to be this Saturday night. So hope you'll join us for that, please. All right, those are my announcements. I am going to bring all of our guests back up for, and I see a lot of comments have come in, so I will peruse the comments. I'm bringing Reverend Jeffrey up because he really helped make tonight happen. And where's Leanne? There she is. Okay. We have a request for healing prayers for Roger. I'm going to bring you up, Bonnie, because I don't know what's going on with Roger. So what's happening with Roger?
Thank you.
We can hear you.
Okay. Roger's been under the weather the last couple days. I think it's been building, but he's been having some prostate issues. He started to take a prostate supplement last night and feeling better today than he did yesterday. But he's been experiencing some dizziness and not balanced when he walks, and low energy, chills. Anyway, just keep him in your prayers, please.
Yeah, so let's go to gallery view and let's send maximum grace to beloved Roger. We
Thank
love
you.
Roger very much. We love you, Bonnie.
Yeah, he's just gone to bed, so
Very well. Maximum grace to Roger.
thank you.
And while we're in our prayer moment, let's send maximum grace to Sylvia. I'm sad to see that she's not with us tonight. So maximum grace to Sylvia. Hmm.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, buddy. Thank you. Um, well, Leanne, I'm going to give each of our people a chance for final sharing. What would you like our audience to know?
Yeah, this has been so wonderful. Thank you, Scott. I would just invite everyone to peruse my website because there's some videos that you can experience the 11-minute meditation with the art. And then once you're on there, you're on my YouTube channel. And I always say a lot of therapists use these videos, a lot of healers use these videos. So please enjoy them and share them and get them out there so that they can be serving. And even Scott, if my videos can serve this organization in any way, just reach out to me because those are, given freely so that people can experience the healing empowerment that comes from them.
Beautiful. And so if you go to her name, leeannhetzel.com/gallery, that's a good place to start. Lee, Leann, Hetzel, HEITZEL.com/gallery. And that's where you can see a lot of the good things. And then if you just click reproductions, that takes you to where you can find what's available for purchase. And let's support this wonderful woman. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
My pleasure. Matt Sturm, what final thoughts would you like to share tonight?
In this time of turmoil and uncertainty, there's an opportunity for each of us to step into our peaceful warrior and to stand for what's true. And that we need to do this together in community. We cannot do this alone. So for all the folks who are showing up to groups like this to be in a community that supports you, thank you and keep doing this. And let's work together on behalf of the peaceful world that we know is possible.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Thank you. And Mary and Dr. Dave.
Thank you again, Scott, for all you do. And again, you can go to our website, divinelytouch.com. Talks about where we're doing events. We do have one coming up next weekend, next at Spirit Fest in West Palm Beach, where we're featured speakers there. And we go into great detail about everything we talked about tonight in Mary's story. Mary also does miraculous healings, not only in person, but over the phone, and has the same results healing people over the phone. So again, you go to our website, divinelytouch.com, and goes into detail and testimonies of her miraculous healing power. And again, thanks for all you do, Scott.
Yes,
My pleasure. Thank you. You know, I was so busy kind of promoting everything else. Two things. Yes, somebody pointed out that the Founding Mothers movement is on, not tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow, Thursday, March 20th. So thank you for pointing that out. And I forgot to mention that, hey, it's time to register for the spring season. And if you go to globalpeacetribe.com, globalpeacetribe.com, you can learn all about our upcoming shows and what's going on. And then just click register for the new season. And that takes you to our registration page. And there's lots of different levels you can come in at. But now's a great time because we have a new season beginning April 1st. So if you register today, you'll get all the Zoom room links for all of our shows for March and April and May and June. And I've got a lot of really fun things planned for us. So please do join the Global Peace Tribe. I'll put into the chat box the link for all of you. Yeah, I see a lot of love for Roger coming in the chat box. That's beautiful to see. Thank you. And yes, there's a lot of astrological significance this week. We kind of talked about that briefly, but a full moon eclipse is happening. Yeah, it's a powerful week. Take good care of each other, lots of love, lots of self-care. And when in doubt, listen to Omashar music, because that's the great healing balm that's available to all of us. Remember, you can get Omashar's music by going to Bandcamp or even going onto his YouTube channel. And most of all, you can get his music right now.
What do you see when you're alone? What do you feel when you are by yourself? How could it be that you are here? Isn't it strange the way things are? Look at the river flowing by, and look at the colors of the butterfly. How do you feel about your life? Isn't it strange the way things are? Like a dolphin in the ocean, I can hear you calling me. Come on and you say, the water's fine, I have come to set you free. You have never been alone, my friend, I was just a thought away. There's a deeper love that's holding you and is here to lead the way. La da dum dum. Oh, oh, oh. And now that you see you're not alone, and there is no such thing as by yourself. There is a hand that's lifting you into the presence of yourself. And life is a tale that never ends. There is a purpose to each heart that beats, and you are the river flowing by. are the colors of the butterfly. Like a dolphin in the ocean, I can hear you calling me. Come on and you say, the water's fine, I have come to set you free. You have never been alone, my friend, I was just a thought away. There's a deeper love that's holding you, and it's here to lead the way. La, 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 like a dolphin in the ocean, I can hear you calling me. Come on and you say, the water's fine, I have come to set you free. You have never been alone, my friend, I was just a thought away. There's a deeper love that's holding you, and it's here to lead the way. La, 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 la. Oh, oh,
Let's all give a big, big, big twinkle to our beloved Omashar. And Diara, who's sitting right next to you, at least as I see her, she just bought all of your albums on Bandcamp Friday. Thank you.
Thank you, dear. I can eat tomorrow.
That's a beautiful thing. That's really, really cool that you did that, Diara. Thank you so much.
Thank you, love.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you again to our presenters. Thank you to everybody present for the show tonight. And let's all tune into our divine inner masculine and learn from Matt. Thank you for the wonderful work that you're doing, Dave and Mary. And MetaArt, what a beautiful, beautiful thing. So thank you for what all of you are doing. You are truly authors and an artist that we love. And I look forward to hopefully seeing all of you on Saturday night. It's going to be a very important and a special show. So please do join us. And between now and then, have a wonderful few days. And remember, we can make any moment divine by seeing the divine in all. Let's practice that as best as we can. Good night, everybody. I'm going to go to gallery view one last time so we can all see. I love that gigantic lotus behind Shoshana. My God, it's very beautiful. All right. It's awesome. All right. Take care, everybody. God's blessings.